Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z. Martin, and tonight we are looking at Roads Not Taken in Season 9. What are the plot threads that were dropped? What were the pivotal moments that, if they'd have happened differently, would have sent the rest of the season and maybe the entire show in a different direction? What character arcs or changes might have, with a little bit of a tweak, gone somewhere completely differently? We are going to explore all of those what ifs, but first let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa. This is Kitty, the mini hellhound. I have been a fan since the pilot aired, and she's been a fan since June 2020.
All right, Elektra.
I'm Elektra. I'm a writer and an editor, and I have been a fan since that very first episode aired, all the way until we all cried when that last one aired, and kept going through all of these many, many videos.
Yes, you have. We are coming up on our 200th video, by the way. So we have done a lot. Lola.
My name's Lola Lariscy, and this is Precious. She's only been a fan for probably 3 years because that's all I've had her. But I've been a fan since 2005.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carole Stokes. I've been a fan since season 3. I started writing fanfic in 2012, and I am a co-host of the Supernatural podcast, So Get This, the lore of supernatural fan fiction. And this is Natalia, my hellhound.
I'm Gail Z. Martin, and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. But all my modern worlds are ones that Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. I fell in love with the show halfway through season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in 4 months for the start of season 12, fell down the supernatural rabbit hole, became an obsessed fan, and I haven't looked back from there. So season 9, there's so much to say about this season, and I'm sure we will. But let's each give one idea per round, and we'll just keep going till we run out of ideas or run out of time. Melissa, what's a road not taken in season 9?
I am so glad I got to start. Bad Boys. What if Dean convinced Sunny that Sam was in danger with being with John, and so Sunny worked to get Sam away from John and with Dean with him? Or what if Sam wasn't in the car when John came to pick up Dean? Because Dean left because he saw Sammy in the car. So if Sam hadn't been in the car, would Dean have been more tempted to stay with Sunny?
Yep, that's one of mine too. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good thought. Elektra.
Slumber Party. Quite possibly my very first fandom was Oz. So I love the idea that L. Frank Baum was in fact a man of letters. So what if Dorothy, rather than going back to Oz and stealing away Charlie, what if the two of them had hung around the bunker and been, the other team working out of the bunker? You guys go one way, we'll go the other, and we'll all work out of this bunker, going out and, saving people and hunting things. That could have been just so awesome, because Dorothy was a character we just never explored enough.
Oh, we could have seen that. And any time Felicia Day wasn't able to be on the show, or they didn't need the character, she could have been off in Oz doing things. I really wish that, that's where they had sent her off instead of
off on a hunting trip. I mean, but Dorothy talking about, you just never know what it's like having your life told about in a book.
Yeah.
I mean, there really been a lot of relatable stuff going on there.
Oh, it just opened up so many possibilities, and I would have loved to have seen it go further. Yeah, absolutely.
And Charlie might still be alive if she'd had someone helping her out.
Yeah.
Always a thought.
Well, how
Someone to
about you,
hit her on the
Lola?
head and say, don't leave this protected place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or-
All right, so my turn.
Yep.
Okay, I'm trying to get to my spreadsheet. Oh, coming. I'm coming. Okay, I'm trying to get to my spreadsheet because I got a really well thought out one. Okay, all right, let's sit down. Let's be good babies. Good babies for mommy. Okay, mine is Dog Dean Afternoon. Oh my God, now I got the other one. Mine is Dog Dean Afternoon. And I just love, I named him Leslie Jordog. So that's the dog that's Leslie Jordan, and I just love him to death. So I decided, okay, so Dean thinks the curse is lifted, and it is. He can't hear any other animals. So they decided to adopt Leslie Jordog because he's just cute, and they're like, whatever. So they're coming home, and Dean makes a realization that, yeah, the spell is lifted for animals he's never met before, but he can still hear animals that he's, that he was able to communicate with previously. So he gets treated to things like, oh, that Gadriel, he is a tall sip of tea. Tall sip of tea. He can give me a belly rub any day. But then also he's gonna know that Sam has been infiltrated by Gadriel, but he can't tell Sam because of course Sam can't communicate with him. So instead he browbeats Dean about it. Like every time he sees Dean, he's like, "You need to tell Sam. You need to tell Sam that tall drink of tea is in him. I mean, there is room enough for both of them and me." But still, you need to let him know because he thinks everything's going topsy-turvy for him and it ain't his fault. So,
Okay. Carol?
yeah.
I'll go for a big one to start with. What if Dean does not take on the mark of Cain? What if that just never happens? And it makes it a lot tougher to fight Abaddon, but that's okay because they're the Winchesters, not the Loosechesters. And you don't have a whole bunch of that dark, nasty stuff happening, and even up to and including Dean becoming a demon later on.
Okay. I'm going to go with what if Sam had finished his sentence? If you want to work cases, that's fine. But if you want to be brothers, ... Now, Dean, of course, with his awful self-esteem, took that as Sam saying he didn't want to be brothers anymore. Anybody else who can parse English sentences took it to mean there has to be trust if we're going to be more than co-workers and actually rebuild being brothers. Because yes, stuck an angel in me and I've had enough. I've been repossessed more than a cheap Ford. And Dean didn't understand possession until he finally gets whammied by Michael. So if Sam had just finished his sentence, I would have just once loved to see Sam slam Dean up against the wall and go, no, for once you're going to listen to what I actually say, and I'm going to say it. Breakthrough, Winchesters. Dean wouldn't have gone off in a huff to get the mark of Cain, and we wouldn't have had the melodrama of the first half of season 9, which is getting really old by then. Or what if, kind of goes along with this one, taking on the mark of Cain was somehow the bargain to heal Sam. Whether it was Crowley healing him or something else, that was the price Dean paid to heal Sam. And Gadriel never happened. So I'll leave you to think about that one and go to Melissa.
Wow, I don't know where to go because I've got all of these things that you all said earlier that I want to tie back to, including what you just said. But I'm going to pick Slumber Party. I know we already talked about it, but I got a different what if. What if they lured Abaddon into Oz? Could the magic and all of the powers and the knowledge and stuff been enough to defeat her? And if not, they could have just slammed the door and let Oz deal with it with Dorothy and everybody, and that would have been that would have taken Abaddon off the board. If we take Abaddon off the board, we don't get the Mark of Cain, we don't get Demon Dean. It clears up a lot of stuff that irked me with this season. So I'm just shoving Abaddon right through that doorway.
Okay. Elektra.
Well, I'm going to bounce off something that Gail said. What if the price for healing Sam is he takes on the Mark of Cain?
Ooh.
And then we get Sam carrying the mark and having to deal with all of that, because Sam is much more mellow until he's not. But maybe he can handle the mark a little bit better.
We almost
Maybe
got
not.
that in the showdown with God, didn't we, later on, where they thought one of them was going to have to take the mark again, and then they didn't, and it was Sam almost getting it. But yeah, that would have been real interesting.
And we know he's still he knows some of what happened when Gadriel was in him, because he said, I still see my hands killing Kevin. So if you have both those things, that would be some trauma.
Okay.
And then there could even be the further permutation of, if Sam has the Mark of Cain, is it going to wake up the demon blood and the whole boy king thing? And then maybe it launches him down that path, you know, and all kinds of shenanigans could ensue.
He becomes hardcore evil.
Melissa, plot bunny.
Write it.
Carole.
I like the whole thing where we're playing with Ezekiel / Gadriel. So what if he wasn't Ezekiel? I mean, what if he wasn't Gadriel? What if Ezekiel really was Ezekiel and didn't have all this, his own agenda and, you know, unscrupulous motivations and stuff, but was the upstanding angel that Ezekiel was supposed to be? And or at least, what if Sam knew about it? Like, it wasn't this big cloak and dagger thing. Sam knows about it. Even if Dean stuffs it in, nonetheless, Sam finds, you know, he tells Sam about it right away. And whether or not Sam agreed to it, which could be a parting of those story paths, he knows about it, and he doesn't, when all these inexplicable things happens, like, didn't I die? Oh, look, I'm alive. Didn't Charlie die? Oh no, look, she's alive. Didn't Kevin, you know, all these weird things happening. And Dean's like kind of gaslighting him about how they happened. He already knew. And even if he didn't agree with all of it, his trust in Dean may have been shaken about the pushing the angel in if Sam didn't agree to it. But at the very least, then it's not being added to with layers of subterfuge and lies.
His trust was shattered. I know I'd be shattered if the person I trusted most in the world.
That could have gone a few kind of different ways.
You're muted.
Sorry. I'm going to go with Blade Runners, because that was the Cuthbert Sinclair episode that spirited Dean off to his secret lair to keep him in his zoo. And then Cuthbert died and we never saw anything more. What happened to the creatures in the zoo? Did Sam and Dean take possession of Cuthbert's stuff, because Cuthbert was a man of letters before he got thrown out? I would have loved to have seen more of Cuthbert's secret lair, just like we didn't get to see more of the other chapter houses that were kind of hinted to us of the men of letters. And, you know, they could have used it as a safe house. They could have used it as it had all the cool stuff that Cuthbert had stolen and made off with and collected. The guy was a collector, so he had to have a bunch of stuff they could eventually use if it wasn't all cursed. So I just really would have loved to have seen them get to explore that more and maybe find exactly the thing they needed somewhere in Cuthbert's collection.
Kevin could have lived there instead of on that crappy, rusty boat in the middle of nowhere.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Okay, so if you've watched the panels enough, you know I'm a Dean girl, right? That's just what it is. It's not that I don't love Sam. I'm a Dean girl. But I gotta say, The Purge. What if the entire episode, Sam is walking around as a fitness instructor? That's it. No plot. Just Sam, short shorts, tight tank top, walking around, showing off. Who cares what's going on? Sam Winchester is showing off that body, and who cares? I'm watching it with the sound off.
And why did we never see anybody hit on him? You can't tell me some of those rich, bored, plump, rich socialites wouldn't have been like, forget the cabana boy, check out the yoga instructor.
Seriously, like, what is up with that? Why? So, yeah,
Okay. Elektra.
In I'm No Angel, it becomes clear that the good Reverend, God, Buddy Boyle is bouncing around and up to no good. It would have saved us a whole lot of trouble early on if they'd realized what he was doing then and just stopped him in his tracks. Because he makes for a whole lot of trouble for an awful lot of the time with his little web sermons telling people to open up to the angels. That goes on for like the whole season.
Yeah, that would have been
Helpful.
very helpful. Lola?
Okay, I got another one for Dog Dean Afternoon because that episode just tickles my heart. Okay, so where's my spreadsheet? The whole thing is that the chef, he's combining different animal parts and doing like a shaman spell so that he can have the killing characteristics of each of the animals. So Dean, he counters it by doing a spell so that he can communicate with animals. What if he didn't do that spell? What if he did the same thing the chef did and just, this is gross, but ate animal organs? And I was thinking, what could he eat? Well, they said the owl makes your IQ a lot smarter, higher. So he could eat the owl, like the owl brain or whatever, gross, I know. And he could become extremely smart, be like Hercule Poirot. And then, he starts speaking in like an English accent, because I think owls would speak in English accents, not French. And he could gather everyone at the end at a parlor and reveal who the murderer is and everything and kill him also. And also, he'd have the characteristics of the owl, so he'd like do the things with his eyes, like, and then that and all that stuff. And owls like to mate. So anyways, so another thing, I thought of another thing he could be. What was it? Oh, the poor little mice. So he could eat the little legs off the little mice. This is gross, I know, but eat their little legs. And that way he could scurry in the wall and he could like be unseen and hear everything that's going on.
Okay.
That's my version.
Okay. Carole. You muted.
I'm not sure I can follow that. But I'll try. Since we seem to be really entrenched in Dog Dean Afternoon, how about if Dean does find out the secret of why the dogs exist? What if the spell lasted 10 more seconds for the Colonel to finish that sentence and we find out the secret? World peace could have happened.
It might have been the secret to completely avert everything else that went wrong the rest of the season. I mean, you'll never know. I'm going to go with Holy Terror. I'm not a huge fan of the interminable Angel Wars, but having grown up with This Little Light of Mine, I can never hear it again quite the same way after those ladies on the bus. And I just kind of wish that when they got back on the bus, they'd have been singing "I've got the joy, joy, joy" down in my heart, just to kind of bookend it. I mean, if you're gonna ruin one song, you might as well ruin two. And in perfect 4-part harmony. But I think that the angel demon wars went on way too long, and it would have been nice if they just could have condensed that. I think it was we don't know what else to do with the plot. Oh, let's drag the angel war out. And so I kind of a wish for the whole season was just, can we end this and go on to, can you come up with something different? So that would be a season long change I would make. Back to you, Melissa.
Okay, I'm going to tag Carole in on this one because we were chatting earlier and we both had a similar idea. What if Bloodlines was actually well written? We got a good spin-off for us for Supernatural. Like, we would have had the opportunity to see different groups of hunters, maybe some of the Campbells. Like, there's so much richness that could have happened if that had actually been well written instead of what we got. And I'm tagging Carole for her thoughts because we talked about it, but we didn't go into detail.
Yeah, mine was just like, what if Bloodlines never happened?
Oh, okay.
And we got an actual good spin-off idea, like we've discussed on other panels, like Bobby Rufus or, Jody Donna leading the girls instead of the girls taking center stage in Wayward Sisters, and, young John and his children. There's so many things they could have done, and they didn't do any of them.
And they gave us monsters that no one liked.
And rich socialites that no one liked.
Yeah,
Because that's the target audience.
Elektra?
Sharp teeth. What if in the course of saving poor Garth from his family members that were maybe not as nice as other family members, one or both of the boys got bitten and decided that maybe having a werewolf hunter wasn't so bad? As long as Garth was managing just fine. He found a niche. Why couldn't they?
There are fan fictions out there like that.
Yeah, like,
I'll bet there are.
I mean, that I had a similar thought. Like, what if they took all of those werewolves who were interested? I mean, you can't draft people, but surely if they had explained the supernatural and stuff to them, some of them probably would have been like, hey, yeah, that's cool. We can be heroes. We can be hunters. That's cool. That would have given a whole nother level of hunting abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Just that was a missed opportunity.
Tracking skills alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Lola, how about you?
So the quality of mine are going down a little bit. So this one is episode 14, Captive. So the crux of it is that, Kevin's trying to figure out what's going on, and he corners Dean and says, you need to tell me the truth. You need to talk to me. Well, Dean could have been like, you know what? Let's go somewhere. Let's go outside. Let's go somewhere where we know nobody can hear us, because, there are eyes and ears out there. And then they went somewhere quiet where no one can hear them. And Gadriel never learned of the plan and didn't trick Sam and Dean, and didn't kill Kevin. That would have been nice. But that would have had a downside, though, because if Kevin didn't die, then he wouldn't be able to help them later, because he's the one, I think, who helped them lift the veil to let the innocent people into heaven.
Okay. Carole.
You're muted.
Sorry, I don't often actually mute, but there was stuff happening, so I wanted to make sure. So Dean struggles because of the first blade, and it enrages him, and it flares up his bloodlust and all this kind of stuff. what if when he has the mark and he has the blade, he can actually control the power of the blade instead of the blade controlling him. So instead of a scene where he was like just stabbing and splattering blood, and then Sam comes in and is like horrified because, Dean has like mutilated these corpses because he's had been in such a rage. What if he could channel that power and use it, for good, despite, the fact that are you?
I'm waiting.
Oh,
but I got a comment, but I'm like, so that's why
okay.
I put my hands up.
And so,
done.
He becomes even more powerful because he's not just like flailing in rage and anger. He's controlling it, and he can focus it and, talk about your instruments.
Okay. This is a plot bunny, and it's a plot bunny for you. Sam takes the mark of Cain, but because of the demon blood, he can do all of those things. So that's the why he can. Because like for Dean, there's not a real hook for why. But what if Sam took the mark of Cain, and because he's got that demon blood in him,
he can
and the experience of drinking the demon blood, he's going to be much better equipped to control it. So there we go. Sorry for stealing your idea.
No, I love it.
I'm going to go with Thin Man. Now, I'm not a Ghostfacers fan, but I think that they could have been used to better advantage. And one of the things I really had disliked about this episode was how heavy-handed the allegory was. Like, we are going to show two people having relationship difficulties because of trust. And look, it's not Sam and Dean, but it's Sam and Dean. Are you paying attention? It was just so heavy-handed. And I'm thinking, what if Corbin's ghost had returned and he and Ed made a go of things because, gay love can save the world. And this meant that Ed and, what's his face? Ed and Harry, that Ed didn't feel like he needed to trick Harry, and that they didn't split up. I really hated that it was that they couldn't work it out. Because really, on a Winchester level of disappointment, faking a ghost is just not a big thing. But maybe Corbin could have intervened. Corbin's ghost could have tempered the situation, and then the three of them could have hunted together. And, it would have been very convenient to have had Corbin along for the ride. I like the guy. So I think that Corbin should have come back and solved their relationship problem. And, we could have gotten away from having the Ghostfacers split up.
That's a spinoff, and it's called 2 Men and a Ghost.
There you go. Really wouldn't be out of step with Supernatural at all. Back to you, Melissa.
Because this is a horse I want to just keep eating, because it was one of the things that bothered me the most in this season. Back to Sam and Ezekiel. So Sam's in the hospital. He's in the coma. Bobby comes to him. Bobby's trying to tell him, come with me, come on. What if instead of that, Bobby was like, no, you have to go back. You have to fight. You have things to finish. If you come with me now, if you don't fight, Dean's never going to make it, blah, blah, blah. And Bobby convinces Sam to fight harder. And because of that, Sam's got enough consciousness that he's awake for a few minutes. And Dean says, I can save you, but it means we have to let an angel possess you, right? So then Sam and Dean's like, I need you. I can't do this. I can't do this alone. I don't want to. Okay. So he convinces Sam to agree. So Ezekiel Gadriel possesses Sam. But because Sam knows what's going on, the minute shenanigans start, he can kick him to the curb. And so now we don't lose Kevin. We don't have all of the angst between the two guys because it's them agreeing, like Sam agrees to this crazy plan because he understands because of what Bobby tells him that, you know, Dean can't live without you. He can't do this. He can't fight. You have to help it. You have to fight so that he has you. And it would have taken so much of the stuff that I really dislike about the season right off the board because the boys aren't fighting. They're united. They can deal with Ezekiel Gadriel. And we take that whole piece of the plot line off the board because that was just so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Elektra?
Captives. The piece of it that bugged the crap out of me was that we lost Kevin, because I really liked Kevin and I didn't think he deserved to get whacked. What if when Kevin comes back as a ghost, they somehow, some way get a hold of Rowena's turn a ghost into a human spell and find a way to do it for Kevin and bring him back?
I was really upset when he died. I mean, like, I almost didn't watch it for the next week. Go ahead.
And we get Kevin back, and Kevin is the one that leads the search to get his mom, as is right, because, you know, and then we have the two trans back, you know, because they are a formidable team.
Yep.
And they know about the supernatural now. So for all we know, they hang out a shingle for a supernatural, for a shop selling ingredients that's got like hunter sigils on the window that lets you know that they're available for consultation and to hunt down the occasional monster that gets in your way.
I
And
agree
accounting on the
completely.
side.
I agree completely on Mrs. Tran, and I think I have said before that if you could recast the movie Gunpowder Milkshake with Mrs. Tran, Donna, Jody, and Charlie, you'd have I watched the hell out of
It's a
that.
really good movie.
Yeah. Lola?
Oh, skip me, because everything I have left is just retreads of what everyone else has said. I've run out of good ideas.
Okay. Carole?
What if in Mother's Little Helper, instead of possessing Josie, when Josie's like says to Abaddon, no, take me, because Henry has a family and everything like that. What if she possesses Henry anyway? So Henry is Abaddon, and he's the one out there wreaking havoc. And maybe we find out that he goes back to his wife and son and like terrorizes them. And they think, oh my gosh, my dad went crazy and, you know, became a serial killer. And Sam and Dean grow up not having mystery grandparents, but oh my gosh, he was a psychopath and all of this kind of stuff. And they have all of these kinds of dark familial secrets and memories and things like that. Plus, I felt that Henry knew a lot more than Josie did in terms of magic and spells and all of this stuff. So he's got all of that going for him. I think there could have been a lot of really interesting, dark, twisty things could have happened there. And we see how Abaddon liked to play with her food, so to speak. Well, imagine Henry doing this and with his family and everything. That would have been chilling and riveting.
That would have been tough for the boys.
What if it hadn't been Gadriel? What if it had really been Ezekiel and he was a good guy? And like Melissa said, he brought Sam in on the whole thing and convinced him, and so Sam was on board. But Ezekiel was a good guy. He didn't have this separate agenda, because Cass is kind of not much use for them most of this season because he's off doing the Angel War thing. So he's got kind of divided loyalties. He's got divided attention span. What if Ezekiel, as he is possessing Sam and healing him, steps in as the helpful angel so that, you know, Cass can go off and fight his Angel Wars, but they've got Ezekiel looking out for them. And in the meantime, maybe his incentive for Sam is, if you let me in your brain, I'll tell you, I can share all these secrets that only angels know, and I can help you read more Enochian, and I can clue you in on more stuff that you didn't know, because he won't do just about anything for knowledge. So I think he really could have, bought Sam off as opposed to tricked him, and would have been more help to the boys than Cass was for quite a bit of the season.
Yeah, Cass doesn't even have his grace for part of the season.
Right.
He's completely,
Yeah.
flaccid.
Off the board.
Word choice is everything. All
Melissa.
right, last round. Melissa.
So many places to go. I'm gonna go with piggybacking off of what Carol said, although Gail, I'm gonna start there. What if it had been Gabriel or Balthazar instead of Ezekiel possessing Sam? I'm just saying. But going back to what Carol said about Abaddon possessing Henry, Henry goes back to his family. His wife knew enough about the supernatural because she was the wife of a man of letters. I don't think you can be in the dark even in that age. So she realizes something's up. So John grows up with knowing that his father was possessed by a demon. That puts a whole different spin on his relationship with Mary. That puts a whole different spin on what happened when Mary was killed. Like, I don't necessarily know that we would have gotten John off the rails the way we did with the A+ parenting, because he would have had a certain level of knowledge and background. So maybe he would have approached hunting for Azazel differently, and it wouldn't have impacted the boys the way it did. Just thoughts.
Okay. Good stuff. Elektra?
King of the Damned. I mean, Crowley became really soft when dealing with the boys for the most part, but he really enjoyed being king. What if when Abaddon brings out his son and starts hurting him, Crowley is like, really? You want me to believe this is my son and this is how you choose to hurt me? Well, the heck with you. And, he just kills Gavin and says, you got anything else, Abaddon? And that flips all the demons over to his side, and Abaddon is done. He's got everybody on his side, and then he pulls Dean out of his back pocket, and Dean takes care of her with the first blade. And now no more Abaddon.
Yeah.
And he may or may not find a way to resurrect the kid, but he loves being king. I mean, if there's anything that Crowley loved, it was being king. He liked being in charge of stuff. That was fairly clear.
Large and in charge.
Yeah. Lola, did you think of anything else?
Emphasis on the large.
No.
Yep. Okay. Carol.
What if in Do You Believe in Miracles, Metatron doesn't kill Dean, Dean kills Metatron? We don't have to see him ever again. We don't get the whole story. I'm writing a story and he's gone. Move on.
Goodbye, Booger.
I can get behind that one because he was truly one of the most annoying villains.
And it's a credit to
the word you're looking for.
Yeah. It's a credit to Curtis Armstrong, how annoying he was. Like, he really, he did
nailed
a
it.
fantastic job with that.
And he got the irony of the show. He got the knowing looks and all that. I love the actor, but yeah, Metatron got great.
He's a fantastic actor. He's good at this.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes
The only one more annoying was that Kentucky Fried Colonel, who was put in hell for like a second and a half. Also a great actor. Annoying character.
A great actor who was, so compelling when you saw him in person, and he's out there with his little drum circle and he's talking about finding transcendence, and he's so not Asmodeus.
But he was compellingly evil.
He was the Kentucky Fried Colonel. Anything anybody else wants to mention here before we wrap up?
Not
We
as
got
good
all
as
of mine.
season 8.
We got
Yeah.
all of
I like the last half better once the boys quit fighting with each other. And fortunately, other than Dean being a demon, they kind of dropped having them mad at each other for the first half of every season after this. But yeah, I could have done without them being mad at each other. So once we got into the second half of the season, I think there was a little more promise. But oh well, next time we'll be talking about what could have happened with season 10. So before we do that, let's let all of our guests, our wonderful, wonderful panelists, tell us where we can find them. And starting with Melissa.
Kitty and I can be found here on continual panels talking about supernatural.
Very good. Elektra?
You can find me at www.untilmidnight.com, and I'm Elektra at wandering.shop on Mastodon.
Lola?
Buddy and Lola can be found on mine. Lots of pictures of Buddy. And I have a website, lolalarissy.com, which I never go to. And I'm on Blue Sky, which I never go to. I'm on Facebook, which I never go to my Lola Lariscy program. I'm on my Lola Strickland profile all the time, but I'm there. Just look, you'll find me.
Okay. Carole?
You can find me on Facebook on many continual panels and in the continual Facebook group, also the TFWNC group. All of my fan fiction is under Firesign 10 on AO3, mind the tags. And as Ellis Colton, you can find me on Facebook under that name, including all my other social media links. And my debut novella, Prescription for Love, is now available on Amazon.
And I'm pretty easy to find at gailzmartin.com, morganbryce.com. I'm on most of the social medias under one or both of those names. So if you spell them right, you'll find me. I run the Supernatural TFWNC group on Facebook. I'm a columnist for the Winchester Family Business blog. But most of the time, I'm here on Continual. So thank you guys so much for another wonderful panel. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There will be more Supernatural coming up soon. So we'll see you online.